So for today, for the third lecture of the mini course, I want to discuss some technical tools for our study of nano-foliations, and particular, I want to discuss an adjunction formula together with its applications to foliations. So to motivate the question, so let's look at an easy statement. An easy setting where everything is well understood. So start with a smooth variety over C and consider a regular foliation on X, say of positive rank R, and consider L an algebraic leaf. So in this case, by the very definition of leaf, the tangent space of L identifies with the restriction of G to L containing the restriction of Tx to L. So this equality, the important equality is here. So in particular, taking determinants, you see that the canonical class of L is nothing but the restriction of the canonical class of G to L. So this is what I want to call an adjunction formula. So in the regular case, this is easy to get. Let's see in a different setting. So again, for simplicity, I will assume that X is smooth over C, and I will this time consider possibly singular foliation on X, still of positive rank. Now L is a subvariety, not entirely containing a singular locus of G, and such that away from the singular locus of G, L is a leaf of the foliation. So L is the closure of a leaf of the foliation, is the closure of an algebraic leaf. And the main question is, we ask whether there is an adjunction formula in this setting. So can we compute the canonical class of L in terms of the canonical class of G, plus maybe something else? Okay, there is first an obvious obstruction. In general, L is not normal, so the canonical class is already not defined. So the first thing to do is to normalize. So consider F to be the normalization of L, and we consider the induced map from F to L, or I will denote the same map from F to X. Now you consider this inclusion of the tangent shift of the foliation into Tx, and you take the R wedge product, you dualize, and what you end up is a map from the space of R forms on X onto the line bundle associated to the canonical class. And our first result is the following, that this map here, in fact, induces a non-zero map from the space of R forms on F now, so the normalization of the leaf, onto into the pullback of the line bundle associated to the canonical class. And as a consequence, there is an effective integral, in fact, canonically defined by device on delta F on F, such that we have an adjunction formula. The low canonical class of F delta F is nothing but the restriction of the canonical class of G to F. So why is delta F canonically defined, and where does this delta F comes from? So you start with this map here, given by the first line of the proposition. So a map from the space of the Kähler differential R forms onto this line bundle. You take the double dual of this map, and what you end up with a map with the space of reflexive R forms on F, still on into this line bundle. But this space of R forms, since F as dimension R is exactly the sheaf associated to the canonical class of F. So in particular, you see that delta F is just the codimension 1,0 set of this map here. It is a canonical effective Veil divisor on F. We will call this log pair a log leaf. So let's see for the just to give an idea of the proof of the. I want just to prove that this map here at the level of X induce a map at the level of the normalization of the leaf. So first, just I want to replace the fact that L is a leaf. So you remember we start with this map from the sheaf of holomorphic R form on X into this line bundle here. You can restrict to the leaf. And because the leaf, because L is the closure of the leaf, say, not a leaf, but it is the closure of the leaf, you see almost immediately that this map factors through this canonical projection here onto the space of Kähler R forms on L. So, and this induces, in fact, immediately at the level of L, the same type of application we are looking for, but only at the level of the closure of the leaf, not at the level of the normalization. And so that, in fact, the proposition before boils down to the following extension theorem. So the extension is as follows. You consider complex variety. The complex is not necessary. It's just, there is a much more general statement, but for simplicity, consider a complex variety and consider its normalization N, given a line bundle L on a Z, and given a map from the space of Kähler differential R form to L. Then this map uniquely extends to the normalization. So uniquely in a sense that it induces a map from the space of R forms on Z1 onto the pullback of L. So if you want to prove the proposition before the adjunction formula, you just have to apply this proposition to this map that comes naturally from the foliation. So let me just say that this is a Seidenberg type extension theorem, because just consider the special case where R is equal to 1, and suppose for simplicity that L is a trivial line bundle, for instance. Then to give a map here is equivalent to give a derivation on Z, and the statement says that this derivation extends to the normalization. And this is precisely a Seidenberg extension theorem. So this statement says something new as soon as R is at least 2. Just a remark, because we will use this proposition many times today. This proposition applies as soon as Z in X is invariant under the foliation G. So this is the natural invariance, the natural definition you may think of, but you can replace invariance, but the existence of such a diagram where now you replace just L by Z. So as soon as you have something invariant under G, you get exactly the same diagram replacing L by Z, and you can apply this extension theorem to get this type of maps. Okay, so this is this answers the first question about the adjunction formula for closure of the leaf. Let's see an example. A baby example, but we already see this example in the lecture by Carolina, the first lecture by Carolina. So you consider the case of the foliation of W0 in Pn. The tangent sheaf is O1, direct sum of O1, so R copies. And you know that this is given by the linear projection from Pn to Pn minus R. And the singular locus is just a linear subspace of dimension R minus 1. So this is the center of the projection. And you know that because this is a linear projection, the closure of the leaf is simply a linear space of dimension R containing S. Now you can try to compute the adjunction formula in this case. What you get, this is immediate. The canonical class of L plus this S is precisely the restriction of the canonical class of G to L. So the boundary here is precisely S. Just a remark, in this case, all the leaves contain S. I will come back to this at the end of the lecture. Okay, so now I want to discuss a relative version of the adjunction formula. So far we have considered a foliation with one algebraic leaf. Now I want to discuss algebraically integrable foliations. Again, X is a smooth projective variety, and now G is algebraically integrable on X, still of positive rank. I want to introduce the so-called family of leaves, so I'll try to be clear. So what is the family of leaves? So the family of leaves is a diagram like this. So where Z and Y are normal projective variety. Beta is birational map, and psi is equidimensional with connected fibers. And the first properties of this diagram is that if you consider a general point in Y, and if you look at the fiber here, you take the image in X, and what you get is precisely a closure of a leaf of the original foliation. So this is not enough to make this diagram unique. So I will add something here, something that looks technical, but what you require is that if you look at the maps from Z to the product Y times X induced by both morphism here, you require that this map is in fact finite. So in particular, this map is nothing but the normalization of its image. And you may think of Z as in fact contained in Y times Z. So Z then identifies precisely with the universal family of leaves. So you have to think of Z as the normalization of the universal family of leaves. Okay. So I will call this normalization the family of leaves. And maybe just a comment. I mean, if you take now any fiber, if you take an irreducible component of the fiber, so either the image is contained in a singular locus of G, or it is the closure of an algebraic leaf. So this is our family of leaves. Okay, now you have your foliation here on X, and by construction, it induces a foliation on G that corresponds precisely to the projection here. So the leaves of the foliation GZ are precisely the fibers of this morphism. This is definitely obvious. But now, again, look at this image of Z and psi times beta, so the universal family contained in a product of Y and Z and X, and observe that this is invariant under the foliation that is obtained as follows. So you see Y times X as copies of X, parameterized by Y, and just you copy your foliation G in all the copies of X. So in a maybe more algebraic terms, you just pull back by the projection on X your G, seen as the pullback in Tx, and you see this in the first factor of the composition of the product. But this is a foliation on the product of the same rank as G. So the foliation has rank R. And for sure, by construction, this image, this is the universal family of leaves, is invariant under this foliation. So again, you can apply proposition B. So the proposition B was this Seidenberg-type extension theorem to conclude that since the image is invariant, you end up with a map from the sheaves or R form on Z to the pullback of the canonical class of the line bundle. And it's easy to see that it factors through this quotient here, so that you end up with this interesting map. So this is a relative cotangent here. You take the double dual as before, and what you get is a map from the canonical class of the function, the sheaf associated to the canonical class of GZ onto the pullback of the canonical class of G. Turns out that one can compute this. I mean, we can give a formula. The sheaves of the relative reflexive sheaves, the relative sheaf of reflexive differential is nothing but the sheaves associated to the relative canonical class minus some effective divisor R of C, called the ramification divisor of C. And R of C is defined as the sum over, you take prime on the base, Y, you put it back and you subtract the corresponding reduced divisor. So this is a finite divisor, so it's supported on finitely many hypersurfaces, and this rank 1 torsion-free sheaf is in fact isomorphic to this one. Reflexive sheaf, sorry, is isomorphic to this one. And in conclusion, exactly as in the case of the preceding adjunction formula, there is a canonically defined effective integral value divisor delta. Now on Z, the Z is a universal family of leaves, such that we have this formula here, the relative canonical class over Y minus R of C, so this corresponds to the canonical class of GZ, plus this positive part is the pullback of the canonical class of G. So I can relate the canonical class of two objects, natural objects associated to our foliations. Just two remarks. The first one is this delta has to be beta exceptional. So beta was the variation map from Z to X. This is just because the foliation GZ induces the foliation G. So over the locus where beta is an isomorphism, there is no boundary for sure. So delta is beta exceptional, and moreover, now if you consider, say, let's go back to the diagram. You consider a general fiber here. So this is a normal variety because Z is normal, and the restriction of beta to this fiber F is nothing but the normalization of the corresponding closure of a leaf in X. And in this identification, if you restrict the boundary delta here to F, you end up with the delta F of the first proposition. You recover the adjunction formula at the beginning of the talk. Okay. So next, I want to say a few things about the boundary divisor delta F. So I will try to understand this boundary. So the setup is as before. So X is still smooth, and G is still algebraic integrable of positive rank. And you start with a general leaf, not any leaf, but a general leaf of our foliation. You consider the corresponding long leaf. Now recall that the support of delta F is the restriction of delta to F, as I said, and delta is beta exceptional. So in particular, the support of delta F is contained in the exceptional set of beta intersected with F. And the claim is that in fact, there is an equality. So if you take a general log leaf, the support of delta F is precisely the exceptional locus of beta intersected with F. So there is a link between the support of delta F and the singularities of our foliation. Let me just show you just a consequence. In particular, either your foliation is regular along closure of the leaf, so the closure of the leaf is in fact a leaf, or delta has to be non-zero. And why? Is because if suppose that delta is 0, okay, so this implies that your F does not meet the exceptional locus beta. So this implies that in fact your foliation is induced by a morphism, an almost proper morphism. So the general fibers are smooth, and then the foliation is regular along this morphism, this general fibers. This is exactly the content of this statement here. We will see at the end of the talk that in fact this has a consequence. If you consider Fano foliations, so Fano foliations were introduced in the previous talk by Carolina, then necessarily the boundary must be non-zero. This will be a consequence of the fact that on the Fano foliations, if the foliation is algebraically integrable, this is our assumption at the beginning, then all the closure of the leaf have a common point. So the foliation cannot be regular. So for a Fano foliation, this boundary is non-zero. And this is important in our classification result. I would like to explain why this statement is true. Fact. So as before, you start with the family of leaves. Beta, recall that I explained to you that the support of delta is certainly contained in the exceptional locus intersected with F. So what we have to do is just to consider E, prime exceptional divisor on Z, which is horizontal with respect to psi, and we have to show that in fact E is contained in the support of delta. Then the intersection with F will be contained in the support of delta F. And then we will be done. So then let me just say that there is a first prediction step. So you just cut down by hyperpensection to reduce to the case where the rank of the foliation is 1. So the first observation is, I want to say that you still, if you cut down, you still see the divisor E by cutting down. Because if you look at the image of E, it has dimension at least r minus 1. This is just because beta, by construction, is finite when restricted to f, and E intersected with f has dimension r minus 1. Now, taking appropriate section, transform the triple, the leaf, the normalization, and the boundary into the intersection of L with H, the intersection of the normalization with the inverse image of H, and now the new boundary is just the boundary of F restricted to this this inverse image, this intersection here. So this more or less explains why we can assume that in fact the rank is 1. Okay, so if you are able to prove that the intersection contains the intersection of E for any H, this will imply that E is contained in the support of delta. Okay, now suppose that the rank is 1, and recall that we proved an adjunction formula like this. So the canonical class of GZ plus something effective, delta, is the pullback of KG. If you think about it, our statement is local on X now. So we may assume that, say, X is affine, and we may even, and this is more important, assume that the canonical class is 0. So our foliation, which has a rank 1, is just generated by a derivation. Okay, and the canonical Boundary formula here implies that the delta Z, so the derivation induced by delta on Z, is in fact regular away from the support of delta. So now we argue by contradiction. And we assume that E is not contained in the support of delta. And so you introduce this set that I call S for the singularities of G. So in this very particular case, this is just a 0 set of delta. And for sure that this is invariant under delta. So in particular, that means that if you take a function that vanishes along delta, its image vanishes along S, sorry, its image under delta vanishes as well along S. Now take a non-zero regular function on X. Assume that this function is vanishing on S, and assume that the multiplicity along E, so E is your exceptional divisor above, is minimal. So beta of E is contained in S because E is a beta exceptional. So in particular, this multiplicity has to be positive. Okay, so any function vanishing on F when pulled back to Z must vanish on E as well. So you fix such a function. And now you choose a local equation of E. So any equation on some open set not containing the support of delta, and you just assume that the valuation of G is 1. So this is a generator of the ideal of a function that vanishes on E. And you just translate what we have said. So the pullback of our foliation, our function f to z is just a unit times g to the power m. So the unit is just because being a unit means exactly that the valuation along E is 0. Now you make a computation. So you compute the delta of this guy here. So this is the formula you perfectly know. And let's see what happens. What can we say about this f, this value here? So the order of vanishing of this new function along E is exactly, by construction, the order of vanishing of delta of f along E, and it is certainly larger than m, just because by construction the delta of f vanishes on S, and m is minimal along the order of vanishing of such functions. Okay. So this has order of vanishing at least m. Now suppose that this guy has a vanishing order 0 along E. Then the vanishing order of this part here is m minus 1, while the vanishing order here is at least m. So this would imply that the vanishing order of this sum is m minus 1. This is a contradiction. So the conclusion is that the vanishing order along E of this guy is at least 1. So this implies that, in particular, that our E is invariant under the foliation defined by beta minus 1 of G, the inverse image of G, so GZ. But recall that by construction, E. Go back to the here. By construction, E is horizontal with respect to this morphism here, so it cannot be invariant by the foliation induced by this psi, this morphism psi. So this is a contradiction, and this proves that E must be contained in a support of delta. Perfect. Now I want to use again this relative canonical bundle formula to prove something that we call with Carolina the common point theorem. But before, I want to study the anti-canonical class of a fibration over a curve. So let me just recall you that in 1993, Miyaoka proved that the anti-canonical bundle of a smooth projective morphism onto a curve cannot be ample. In a joint paper with Carolina and Sander Kovacs, we have extended this theorem in the singular setting. So the theorem is as follows. You have a normal projective variety, you have a fibration, say we've connected fibers onto a smooth curve, and you consider a boundary delta on X, which is effective. So suppose that the canonical class is Q Cartier, and suppose that the pair X delta is log canonical over the generic point of C, and then the conclusion is that this relative log canonical bundle cannot be ample. Maybe I should say that you cannot drop the assumption on the singularities over the generic over the generic point of C, because we have counterexample. This is not optimal in some sense. Let's see the proof of this this result. So we argue by contradiction. So you have a pair. This is log canonical over the generic point of C, and you assume that this guy is ample. So one has to first take a resolution of singularities of the pair X delta, call it pi, and we consider a positive divisor on C, so you choose an ample divisor on C, and you choose M large enough so that when you take this guy, this is ample, so this M is large enough, you may even assume that it's very ample, but you assume that even subtracting this positive part, it is still very ample. So this is possible as soon as M is large enough. This is something very positive minus something positive. So now there are some technicalities, but this is not very important. So what you do is just you write down the canonical bundle formula for pi. So the canonical class of X tilde is plus the inverse image of delta. The street transform of delta is nothing but the pullback of Kx plus delta plus E plus minus E1, where both these are effective, they are exceptional, and then don't have any component in common. And together with you will use this data to cook up a new boundary on X tilde. So you just look at the composite map from X tilde to C, and you consider a very general element, D tilde, in the pullback of this linear system here. And then you set delta tilde to be the street transform of delta, 1 over M, this delta tilde, plus E minus. So this is not, the details are not important, but this is the conclusion in this conclusion, it's in this construction. So our new pair here, X tilde delta tilde, is still log canonical over C, and moreover now you have this formula. So the log canonical class of the pair is the pullback of the canonical class of C plus E plus. E plus was P exceptional minus this positive part. This is the important part. Now, E plus being pi exceptional, the push forward of the corresponding line model is always trivial. So you can compute this guy. So you take some large multiple, because these are not Cartier divisors. These are just Q divisors. So you have to take multiples. So you take multiples enough, and you want to understand the push forward of this. So this is just, you put this part here, and you are left with E plus minus something. So E plus being exceptional disappear, and you end up with just OC minus LA. So you have this, the push forward of the relative canonical class is exactly this minus Ampere class. But this vector bundle here is NF. So in the case where delta tilde is 0, this goes back to Fujita in 77. And in this setting, so in the case of for relative low canonical pair, this is due to Campana in 2004. This is NF, a NF vector bundle. But this is supposed to be equal to the opposite of an Ampere class. So in the end, you indeed get a contradiction. And this proves our main theorem. So assuming that the pair is log canonical over the generic point of C, the relative log canonical class cannot be ample. So let's see how to apply this now. Yes, recall. Let's go back to the example of degree zero foliation on Pn. So recall that, as I said, that it is given by a linear projection from Pn to Pn minus R, and we saw that the closure of the general leaf is nothing but a linear subspace of dimension R, and we had an adjunction formula like this, where S was the singular locus of the foliation, and we saw that any leaf, so the quotation mark is just for any closure of a leaf, contains the support of the boundary that is precisely S. It turns out that this is always the case for Fano foliations. So this is another technical tool. So consider now an algebraically integrable Fano foliation on a complex projective manifold. And consider a general log leaf, so F delta F. And suppose that this G has mild singularities, namely, suppose that the pair is log canonical. Suppose that this is given. This is part of our assumption. Then the conclusion is that there is a closed subvariety T in X that satisfies the following property. For any general log leaf, there exists a log canonical center of the pair whose image in X is precisely T. So in this particular example, the boundary is irreducible, and there is only one log canonical center. This is the boundary itself. That says that all the leaves contains a common subvariety. So as a consequence, as I said at the beginning of the lecture, there is a common point in the closure of a general leaf, under the assumption that the foliation is Fano and that the singularities are log canonical along a general leaf. How do you prove this? Again, I will just show that there is a common point. The general case is a bit more complicated, and but this is easier to explain. So as before, you consider the family of leaves, and we argue by contradiction. So we assume that there is no common point in the closure of general leaves. You need an argument, but you can see that in this case, if you take a general computed assertion curve, say C in Y, and if you consider S, its inverse image in Z, then beta restrict to a finite morphism on S. This is where we use the fact that there is no common point. This is a dimension count plus a bit more, say. Okay, so we have this very special family of leaves here. Now there is some technical thing to do. So you consider a base change C1 over C, where C1 is still smooth, in such a way that if you consider the normalization of the fiber product, you end up with a fibration with reduced fibers. Sorry. So this can be done always. And now again, you apply this famous proposition B. So the proposition B is the extension from a variety to the normalization, the Seidenberg type extension, to conclude that there exists an effective integral by divisor delta S1 on S1 with the property with a with an adjunction formula, say, so the relative canonical class plus delta S1 is the restriction of the canonical class of G to S1. Here, if you remember, there should be a minus ramification divisor of this morphism here, but by construction, S1 to C1 has reduced fibers, so there is no ramification divisor, and this is the reason why we perform this bias change here. So we end up with this nice canonical bundle formula, and now it's easy to see that by construction, this new pair is still log canonical over the, not still, but it is log canonical over the generic point of C1. This is because our assumption was that the general log leaf has log canonical singularities. So we have this assumption on the S1 delta S1, and by construction, since beta is finite, you put a minus here. This is the pullback of minus kj, but by assumption minus k is ample. So the relative should be ample, but this is a contradiction to the main theorem. So this proves that this proves our common point. Back to the, this is proof this statement, proposition E, so there is a common point in the closure of a general leaf. This will be used in our strategy to classify foliations, Fano foliations of large index. Thank you.